recently were brought to you not by Christians, but by people who don't even have any attack. And this did not happen. This did not happen because those Christians were bad people or anything. It just was such that because of your network, you were able to utilize people whom were not Christians to make yourself better or to give yourself better opportunities. So could you explain, apart from the example you gave of the job you have now, could you explain how perhaps doing your classwork or anything, how any person or any Muslim, let's just use that for example, has taught you something or showed you a character that surprised you, that you probably did not expect to see in that person?
Okay, yeah, I have like so many examples about that.
Okay.
Then there's this one that was quite early in like 2018 when I just got into school. So I was in this competition.
Yeah.
It was a debate competition, my very first debate competition. And there was this person that was just there. Like, so he was my classmate, but I didn't even know that he was my classmate. It was still year one. We had not spent up to a month in school. So you can understand that I did not even know that this was my classmate, yeah? But then after the first day at the tournament, this person calls me and tells me that, okay, so I see that you are not doing this right, and I see that you're doing this right. And I had people that I already made friends with, like from day one. You know that there are people that you just make friends with the first day. That I told to even come and watch me speak. Some of them came, some of them didn't even show up, yeah? And this person I didn't even know about, but I just put it on like my class group. And he was there. And while he was there, he was paying attention. So at the end of the tournament lasted, I think, about 3 days. At the end of the first day, he called me and told me, I think you're doing this wrong. And I think you should be doing this. And I think you should be doing more of this. And you're doing this wrong. And you're doing this right. And this is how to strategize. I think you need to read up more on this and see how to. And I'm like, okay. All right. Thank you very much. At the time, I didn't even know that he was a Muslim. His name is Dolakpo. So I'm like, okay, so I don't even know that this person is a Muslim. He didn't look like a Muslim to me. And
so there's even the look safe.
you know now the whole tabligh thing, in my school they are quite obvious because they probably are wearing some very religious outfits or have some beards, or like there was nothing to like identify that this guy was a Muslim, and he helped me out through the tournament. I came out best speaker at that tournament, and I can say that I owe some of it to him, and then after, and most of it to God, by the way. And after that tournament, like I realized that I learned a lot from him in a very short period of time. Like he had read a lot, he had learned a lot of things, and he was willing to share. Like he was willing to go the extra mile. He would sign attendance for you if you don't come to class without you asking for it. Like he was just a G with no strings attached. That was like something that was very absurd to me at the time, because all those boys, they either want something from you, like, so it was just very absurd, like with no strings attached. He was just doing all of those things, and he was willing to give without receiving so much. That was one thing that stood out for me. That was in like year one, the first semester.
So really, the point at the end of the day is that in associating with people, factors like religion or factors like thoughts may not necessarily come into play if the person has something to teach you or has something to offer. And the something to offer here may not be necessarily something material. It could be advice. It could be support. It could be
Yeah.
whatever it is. It could be tips on how to make yourself better. And at the end of the day, if you are going to make yourself better, factors like religion should not come into play, or factors like this is my person from my tribe. Tribalism has even really affected us as Nigerians generally. I mean, that's really affected us. Tribalism, nepotism, even religious bigotry. We have a lot of issues coming out of our country because of that. So at the end of the day, what makes association beautiful is the fact that you can take your stand on your religion, not be shaken from that, but then still see how to bring out beauty even while associating with people from all walks of life.
Yeah.
Right. So you are going to say something that you were while you were sharing your experience.
Yeah, I was going to say something else that someone did that really stood out. A non-Christian. So okay. I have this attitude, or let's say I have had for a very long time. I don't know. Maybe it's because of my my Edo roots, because my mom is from Edo State. So I
didn't even know you were from Edo State.
My mom, I'm a Yoruba girl, but my mom is from Edo State.
Okay.
I have this thing about me. I always termed it as a good trait to always speak my mind when I don't like something that happens. Yeah. So okay. I'm not one to like hide behind whatever and talk about something, or like keep talking. If two of us have an issue, instead of like going to another person to tell the person about what you have done to me, I would come to you first, and we would have either I'll try to settle it amicably, but most of the time it's never amicably. Like I just come and I just tell you what's on my mind.
Eventually, just drop it like that.
Like I just come and I just tell you what's on my mind, because I felt that there's a need for me to confront you directly. I'm not one to go through other people, and I always used to just say what was on my mind. Sometimes I realized when I met this person that I wasn't looking at, or I wasn't seeing the other person's emotional position at the time. Like all that was important to me was that I needed to get that off my chest. Like I just needed to say my mind so that I could hear where I stand and how I feel about something, without even taking into consideration the other person's feelings or anything. Now, I also had this one friend, so it was like three of us: the Muslim boy, myself, and this other Christian girl. So this girl was very fragile, had so many emotional issues, so many demons. She's totally messed up, if I'm being very honest with you. She had so many issues with her, some insecurities, just so many things. And when you do something I don't like, I will just tell you immediately. Like I will tell you and I'll move on. Like that's it for me. But certain people think that it is me trying to clamp down on them, or make them feel any less of a human, make them feel inferior. And it took this guy to make me understand. He told me, I remember, like he said, Mishay, I see that you do not mean harm when you do these things, but you don't take into consideration the other person's feelings at the time. It's usually about how much you need to get something off your chest, and not how the information you're going to drop is going to hit the other person. Because if you were thinking about those things, your delivery will be different to how you deliver it. So you could tell somebody something without being so harsh. Like, could you tune it down a bit? When he first told me, I was like, the person how I feel. He said, no. You will tell the person how you feel. Sometimes take a day off so that it can cool off in your head before you tell the person. Or
Yeah.
find, if it's something that needs to be said immediately, find a way to say it in a very, very nice manner, so it doesn't sound like you're being condescending. And I'm like,
Mm.
like nobody ever felt the need to tell me. I am somebody that likes. I feel that okay, so I'm trying my best to be the best that I can be,
Mm.
but I always like when people point out my flaws to me.
And this came out from someone whom you did not expect. I mean, the
At
you of
all.
before, the you of before was the kind of person that would not even listen to any advice from someone who was not of the same religion with you. But
Yeah,
this
like
kind of advice even came from someone whom you didn't expect it from.
Exactly. Like before, it wasn't like I belittled non-Christians. I just did not see a need. Like there was no need
To associate.
at all. Like there was nothing that I needed from anybody that was non-Christian that I couldn't get from Christians. So I'm like, why? What's the need? Yeah. And all the places that I'd been, my primary school, secondary school, the same area, very close to my house. My primary school, I don't think they had, okay, I think I had like 2 or 3 Muslims. I don't even remember them. In my secondary school, we were about 30 in the class. I think it was 7 Muslims. Some of them were people that we used to talk a lot in school, but then it never ran deep. So I didn't even see a need. Like it wasn't even necessary. But then when I got, at some point, I became very dependent on this person that I'm telling you about. Because every time I needed to make a decision, and it was proving like very hard, I would take my time off. I'd be like, okay, so Dolapo, what do you think about? And what do you think about? And then
So you were even gaining wisdom from someone whom you did not expect had anything to offer to you.
At all. I didn't expect.
Exactly.
Like even writing for a very long time, like I know that I talk a lot and I can like pass a message across pretty well when I talk. But you see too, I talk very fast. To compress all of that into writing and be calm enough to write it out was hard for me. It was very hard because when I start to write, things just fly out of my head because I'm trying to gather my thoughts. And like, he was one of the people that got me to calm down and tell me, as it's coming, just write it. At the end of the day, it might not make sense. You can now start to move it around and make it make sense. Arrange it and structure it properly. Like it was so many things that I've learned from this one person.
Wow.
As it stands, we still talk to each other, but not as much as it used to be.
Yeah.
Because people evolve, people change, and at certain points I discovered certain traits that I think that I needed to stay away from because they were quite toxic to me. But I learned a great deal. And that was because I opened up to learn those things. Otherwise, I wouldn't have had all those things that I know as at now.
Yeah, so really the beauty in association is really knowing how to make that separation between doing things or joining people that taking attributes from people that you think are not useful to you, but still making use of the wisdom or the advice or the knowledge or the material things, it may be even material things that these people can offer you, right? So it may be someone whom you do not think has anything to offer to you. You may never be religion wise now. It may be someone whom you feel is dumber than you, someone whom you feel is not as opportune as you financially, and yes, that person may have something to offer to you. How you can have that skill to utilize your network and turn it into your net worth is really what it is all about at the end of the day. Yeah. So thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mishay, for your time. Thank you so much for being with us today. We've learned a whole lot from your experiences, and I do hope that I'm very glad that you have come out from that previous understanding as to the fact that you do not feel you could gain anything from anyone who was not of your religion. I do hope that you continue to have more opportunities, even to associate and learn more from people as you go on.
Yeah, thank you.
And also to our audience,